The question is, should we stop idealizing people? That's the question. Why do I ask this question? Well, I ask this question because as I'm reflecting on it, and also coming from a book that I've been reading, we idealize people, but they're not what we idealize them to be. And when they're not what we idealize them to be, we end up dissatisfied. It's very interesting because the way that I was conditioned growing up, and this was probably very unconscious for a while, but the way that I was conditioned growing up was to see them how I wanted to see them, rather than for who and what they are and were, right? One of the most important things that I've learned, especially on my journey of healing, is to see everything for exactly what it is, and everyone exactly what they are, right? And the reason why this is so important is because oftentimes we form ideas for how things and people are supposed to be. And then we project those ideas onto things and people. And then when those things and people are not the ideas that we project onto them, we become dissatisfied. And then we try to change people and things, right? It's very interesting because people don't own each other. So this whole thing of idealizing somebody and then getting upset when that person does not amount to whatever it is the person is idealizing them as. I mean, when you look at it that way, when I look at it that way, it's pretty absurd. It is. Why should we idealize people if people are not responsible for how we're idealizing them? And people also aren't going to be what we idealize them to be. Because when you think about it this way, right? If you look at the world as good or bad, the world is neither, right? So your perception of the world, regardless of whether it is good or bad, is an illusion. It's just a filter that you're placing over the world. Similarly, if a person becomes idealized in another person's mind, right? They create this idea for what the person is supposed to be. And when the person does not amount to that idea, they oftentimes get upset. People are not responsible for the idealizations that other people create for them. And when another person gets upset because somebody else does not fulfill their idealization, then it's like, all right, well, you don't own the person, so what is it that you're getting upset about? So should we stop idealizing people? While I idealize people as well, I'm aware of this, I think it might actually be best to stop doing that and to just allow people to be as they're going to be. And that's it. It's interesting because another aspect of healing is allowing all of these different ideas and beliefs that I've been conditioned by not only to melt away, but to understand and become aware of where they came from. That's the power right there. Lasting change happens when awareness is present. So as I've been thinking about how I approach this whole thing in terms of idealizing people, I have idealized people. I've created this idea for how people need to be for me to be satisfied. Yeah, it's humorous. It is. So, should we stop idealizing people? I think it'd be beneficial. Would it be challenging to just accept people for who they are and like them or love them for who they are? Maybe. But who says that we really have to go crazy out of our way to even do that? Right? I think it becomes real when the labels are dropped, when the ideas, the idealizations, and the, you know, all of that stuff is dropped. Because then there's no filter. Then there's no this way or that way of seeing people. You're just seeing people for who they are. In fact, when a person is idealized, you're blinded from them. People aren't the label that we create for them, or the labels. So when a person is idealized, we are actually blinded from who they really are. So if we just allow ourselves to see them for who they really are, then we arrive home.